1989, millions rejoiced when the Iron Curtain fell with the Berlin Wall as the last barrier to freedom in Eastern Europe. As I discovered while attending the United for Peace and Justice rally, these combative communists still exist today. And they are here in America's front yard, our national mall. But who leads the march of those who advocate for a revolution to overthrow the government of the United States under a facade of peaceful demonstration? On Saturday, January 27th, the president and founder of the Rainbow Push Coalition, Mr. Jesse Jackson, led the peace rally with militant Marxists at his back. The uncertainty still remains of whether or not Jackson agreed with the protesters following his leadership, but the fact still remains that we witnessed thousands upon thousands of socialist revolutionaries from around the globe, along with 9/11 conspiracy theorists, anarchists, hippies, liberals, and a general multitude who vehemently detest President Bush march on our capital. The issues we are addressing today are important to the message Mr. Jackson has been preaching over the past several decades. These are issues of tolerance and diplomatic dialogue to create first-rate channels of communication to solve a current crisis facing the world. Jesse Jackson has been known to men, women, boys, and girls around the world as the great uniter, and even the conscience of the nation. The ACSU followed Mr. Jackson in an effort to develop and promote valid and constructive ideas to end the war in Iraq. Our liberal American brethren offered an oppressive, false peace by verbally and physically assaulting fellow marchers who disagreed with their point of view on how we should end the war in Iraq under a banner of open-mindedness. As the American Conservative Student Union, we strongly declared that Mr. Jackson should personally condemn, denounce, and apologize for his association with the violently expressed views of his marching followers. We attended the United for Peace and Justice rally to show support for ending the war in Iraq. Our peace through victory view of the conflict was not supported by our fellow protesters. We strongly support the idea that the only way to win the war and maintain a stable and peaceful democracy in Iraq is to bring the terrorists to justice. The United for Peace and Justice manifestation was accompanied by a host of less than peaceful demonstrators. I came across an organization with which I was less familiar, the Progressive Labor Party. When I returned to my apartment in the district, I located some fascinating information about the PLP. Their partisan literature mentions common rallying slogans like, "We fight directly for communism," and "Communism can only be won through armed struggle by masses of workers, students, soldiers, and others to destroy the dictatorship of the capitalist class and set up communism, dictatorship of the working class." At one point, I was able to sustain a conciliatory dialogue with a gentleman from the Progressive Labor Party. During the conversation, we discussed the evils of democracy, and I asked him, "Are you saying that those who have made the most of their opportunity at the American dream after escaping the brutalities of communism by hard work and dedication to success are evil and should be slaughtered, and the rest of the country put under a communist system of government?" His response, simply, hell yes. Interestingly enough, after drawing the conversation to a close, he offered their publication. Since the slogan of theirs is "no money, no wages," I just assumed my paper was free. But I was sternly informed that my paper would be $1. So I begrudgingly paid my $1, shook the gentleman's hand, and departed under the battle cry of, "Revolution is the only war we fight, exclude the U.S. and all its might." And this whole system, rotten to the core, not my president, not my war. Upon my exit, he exclaimed, "Hey man, everybody's got to earn a living," sounding hopelessly defeated from this evil capitalist dictatorship we call the American society. While marching alongside a banner calling for unity, we heard slurs and smears referring to the assassination of President George W. Bush, the assassination of Vice President Cheney. Some were even calling for my assassination and suggested suicide. Others celebrated and wished death and murder upon American troops serving overseas. We also heard chants concerning a militant deposition of the American government. Pro-communist and anti-American slurs, not proper for radio, television, or print media, resounded on our national mall. We heard for an international communist takeover of Iraq, immediately following an American retreat. And multitudes proclaimed that President George W. Bush planned the 9/11 terrorist attacks on America. Regardless of how much an individual may despise another, assassination is never an option. Those who espouse radical, conspiratory, and anti-American viewpoints, alongside those who wish death upon myself, the troops, the Vice President, and the President, should be condemned by the Rainbow Push Coalition and those associated with the United for Peace and Justice rally. Life is something to be valued and respected, especially the life of the leader of the free world. More than ever during a period of international conflict. Please, Mr. Jackson, do the right thing and condemn your followers. Please, Mr. Jackson, do the right thing and condemn the ill wishes and the violently expressed ideologies of your followers. Now, Mr. Jackson, you also have an obligation to fulfill. He must take part in an open dialogue to offer his condemnation of the violent ideologies of his followers with the American Conservative Student Union and the White House concerning the victory in Iraq. As conservatives, we do not feel that he is guilty by association, but if Mr. Jackson does not comply with our humble request, the American people have the right to believe that he is in absolute agreement with his communist, anti-American, democracy-abhorring followers. Could these followers possibly be the real Rainbow Coalition? I surely hope not. Some of those followers included 9/11 Truth Now, the Answer Coalition, the Black Panthers, CampusProgress.org, Code Pink, the publication Challenge, the Communist Organization for the Fourth International, the Communist Party USA, the Communist Party of America, the ACLU, the Communist Revolution Party, the Communist Voice, Friends Committee on National Legislation, Free Palestine, the Green Party, the organization If America Knew. And as I continue, we can go on and on all day. But there's still a few more. Iranians for Peace, the International Socialist Organization, Justice for Palestine, the publication The Labor Militant, as well as the League for the Revolutionary Party, the Mexican Communist Party, MoveOn.org, the Progressive Labor Party, the publication Proletariat Revolution, the Socialist Labor Party, and the Socialist Workers' Party, and the publication simply known as the Communists. America, allow me to reiterate that these people are inciting a militant uprising at a peace rally. Now please allow me to speak candidly to the American people. If you so choose to associate yourself with the ideology of immediate retreat of the American forces in Iraq, that is your God-given, constitutionally enumerated right to do so. But do remember this. Remember, this is the heart of the anti-war movement. And if you so choose to take an anti-war, anti-American retreat now position, this is with whom you choose to be associated.